Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and today we are back in my item duping world again. And this one is not for a massive machine like the carpet and the rail dupers you see behind me that pump out about 1.5 million items an hour. We are back to the simple duplicating glitches, and these do involve gravity blocks. This is going to be very similar to my last duping video that duplicated all of the different colored powder concretes as well as the sand and gravel. But this one is going to work with anvils as well as dragon eggs. And for the anvils, it does include some of the damaged variety, but it is better if you have to start out with the fresh ones. And I will show you all about how to do that, and we will head back over to the portal. But first, let me just say that most of you are still not subscribed. It does really help out the channel if you'll just take a moment to scroll down and hit that sub button, as well as ring that bell. Now let's head over to see exactly how this works, and while we're there, I'm also going to show you some speed strats. So the teleporter block back to the end portal, very simple. I am in peaceful mode just so these silverfish don't bother us, but this is not affected by the difficulty of your game. So first, let me also make a note that I showed you this chest last time with all the different gravity blocks, and a couple commenters pointed out, forgot about the white concrete. Apologies. It does, of course, obviously work with the white concrete powder as well, but we're here for the anvils. That does, as I said, include the chipped and the damaged, although this one doesn't really work all that well, and the dragon eggs. And first, let me show you why I said it didn't work in the last video. I can do that by grabbing a bunch of anvils, and you can see we have our same setup. If you missed the last video, this would normally be covered in lava. Fill all that in, and all you need to do is add a fence right here underneath, and this is one block below this. Even though you can't see it, it is activated. And this actually works with a lot of other things that are more than a block high. It just needs to be able to turn the item you're dropping into an entity. So let's put some anvils down, and you can see this is the exact center, which is where the fence is. This is actually a little irritating to do because you need to hold shift in order to place these on top of each other, which is also the down function for creative mode. So I am holding the space bar and then intermittently also holding shift in order to place this without opening up the GUI. Let's go all the way up, and hopefully soon we will hit our marker. And a little bit further. Okay, maybe more than just a little bit further. These are very irritating to do. There we go. So this is 64 blocks tall. Let's drop back down here. Let's get rid of all of the anvils we have in our inventory, and let's break this bottom block and watch as they come cascading down. And you can see there's nothing in my inventory. Now what happens when we jump into the end, let's see how many anvils we have, and we don't have a lot. We've got 3 anvils and 6 chipped anvils, as well as these 2 right here. Not only did we not duplicate any anvils, we actually lost the overwhelming majority of them. So when I said it didn't work, it's because that didn't work. But there is a way to make this function. It's just another simple teleporting block to here, and then this brings us to one of the speed strats a couple of you also pointed out. If you just set your spawn right in this room, you don't have to wander all the way from wherever your main base is. You can jump right back in here. Now the similar thing happens with the dragon eggs, except when you try and drop them in a tower like that, they have a tendency of not actually falling through, but just teleporting all over the place into various caves and in the walls and in the ground, which is why I said that doesn't really work that well either. That said, there is a way to make this work. So if we grab some anvils, and let's grab a stack of those, and let's put ourselves right here. And let me grab one of these. And let me also tell you about another speed strat. You can add more than one fence under here. So I'm going to add these extra two. So we have all three of them just like that, which lines up to these 3 blocks right here. Now I'm only going to use this one for now. So if we come up here and we give ourselves a place to stand, and we're doing this to make it easier to just count them out, because as much fun as counting is, it's not that fun. So we have 65 of the regular anvils, and we're just going to hold down our right click and drop them right here. And this goes to the block all the way at the end. And by doing this in survival, you can see exactly how many we start with and how many we end with. So they all get dropped through. Takes another moment. And then as we come up on our 64th, I'm going to turn back into creative and jump back through. And you can see now we actually have duplicated some of our anvils. So let's see what we have. We have our original 64 that we dropped. Then we have 45 duplicated anvils. And we have 18 chipped anvils. And then as you can see, we also have one anvil that you can mine to give us a 46th anvil. So some of your anvils will be damaged when you drop them through. That's why it's good to have your original anvils that are undamaged when you're working with this. You should get most of those back without being damaged. Some of them won't be damaged, and then you'll have some damaged anvils that you'll have to deal with as well. So let's do a little bit more. And this time we can show you how that works. We get rid of all of these. And we're going to get, let's say, 16 of each. That's not how you do that. Let's try that again. Damaged, chipped, and regular. Let's put these back over here. And let's do 16 of each. Like this. And also, let's get 16 of the damaged anvils. And then we can dispose of the others so we don't get them confused. Just to give us a little sample. And again, if we go back into survival mode, we don't need to count. We can just see exactly how many drop from the inventory. Now let's go with the chipped anvils. And anvils go from normal to chipped to damaged, and then they disappear. And then the damaged anvils. And that sound you hear, sound of some of them actually breaking, which is one of the issues you have trying to do the fully damaged ones. So let's see what we have this time. We have our anvils. And let's separate these out into the original ones we started with. Like this. And switch these around. So as you can see, we do have our original 16 of each. We ended up with 10 of the anvils, 13 of the chipped anvils, and 22 of the damaged ones. And obviously what happened is some of our normal anvils became chipped, and a lot of our chipped became damaged, and then some of our damaged were destroyed. So this does work with all of them, but again, better to start out with your normal ones. And now let's go back around. As I said, this does work with dragon eggs as well. So let's get some dragon eggs into the inventory. And we'll also just do 16 of these to speed things up a little bit. And get rid of some of our other items. And then I will talk about the actual speed strats you can do and how good that is. So let's drop these in one at a time. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16. Of course, you had to have a little bit of counting with Eagle Eye for that hot YouTube content, but mostly because I forgot to switch into survival mode. And then let's jump in and see what we have. And you can see we have 32 when you include this one right here. So this method does work with dragon eggs. But let's talk about how to speed this up. And the way that we're going to speed this up, and this works with all of the different gravity blocks, so I can just grab some sand just to show you that this does work with all of them. What you really want to make sure you have is you want to make sure you have these 3 fences in a row just like that, because we're going to rely on them being exactly in this row. You also are going to want to make use of an auto clicker, because when you hold down, I'll grab one other color so I can show you the difference. Let's make it some red sand. When you hold down your drop key normally, and for this we do want to switch to survival mode. When you hold down your drop key normally, this is your speed. You can hold that right click down, and you can see that you can go AFK like this by having some items dropped, and you do have respectable speed. But now I want you to compare this to what's going to happen when we switch over to the red sand, and I'm going to make use of the auto clicker to fast place the sand. You can see we're actually getting 3 in the same time it took us to get 1. So we have triple that speed. And when we go back through, you can see that dropping it faster did not make any difference in terms of our duplication. So we have our original 64 of each. Then we have our duplicated red sand. We have 63 of the sand because the other one is right here. So that would be the 64 and 64. So your speed strat right there involves using an auto clicker, but you can actually get even faster, and by doing that, it's mostly in terms of your AFK. So let me show you how this works, because it's a little bit of a setup, but you do get some impressive rates. What you're going to want to have is you're going to want to have something to block your inventory. It doesn't have to be seeds, but seeds are good. You're going to want a chest. You're going to want a pickaxe just to make this a little bit easier. And you are going to want your duplicated block. So let's grab all these things and let's set this up. Now you are going to find your spot that you're going to be placing. So just like this. And then you actually want to wall yourself off for a moment. And now you can put your chest here. Now you would do this differently in survival, of course, but this is the concept. And fill this chest with whatever gravity block it is that you're trying to duplicate. In this case, I'm just doing sand. Now you want to have sand in your main hand, and you want to fill your inventory with blocks or some item that is not what this item is. You do want to make sure you have a chest so that when you break the chest here, you don't end up accidentally getting it stuck in your spot. And then for this, let's go into survival mode. And what you're going to do is you're going to break this chest. All these items are going to fall on the floor right where you're standing. And then you can mine away these 2 blocks. And you can go AFK with your auto clicker. So let's break this. And you can see they're all on the ground because there's no place in my inventory to pick them up. Now we're going to break the wall. And now, as you're fast placing the sand, you're also picking up the sand on the ground. Now, if you do this exactly the way I just showed, you will not have to worry about the items despawning, because it will take you just under 4 minutes and 40 seconds to fast place all of the gravity blocks. And that does mean it's the entire chest plus the stack you have in your hand, which means that you will dupe 1,792 blocks in just under 4 minutes and 40 seconds, which if you do the math on, comes out to 6.4 blocks duped per second, which is a lot of sand or powdered concrete. It's harder to do with your anvils because you need to hold down shift, and you need to change this up a little bit for the dragon eggs. I won't stand here doing this. When I go into survival, you'll see creative, they'll all just get sucked up. That doesn't matter. And we'll jump back through and see that there was a tremendous number of blocks there. It's not worth counting because it's the same rates and effects as everything else. Now, when you're doing this for your dragon eggs, you have to be a little bit more careful because you can't click on a dragon egg or it will teleport away. So your speed strats that involve your dragon egg or your anvil, if you're going to be there and babysit it just a little bit, is to come up here and use the walls as your extra speed. So for your dragon eggs, you click, click, and click. And that way you can do basically, it's not quite as fast. This is about 1.5 to 2 times faster than if you were just clicking normally. But you can still get through a bunch of eggs very quickly. And the same thing, of course, works for your anvils. Just like that. And that's why you want to make sure that you have those 3 fences there. So you can see all of the blocks that we duplicated go around in a circle. But of course that does mean that you need to make sure that you have these extra fences placed where they are. And then with this method you can use any of the gravity blocks, and this is the drop method, and also the speed strat method. Works with all of our original gravity duping blocks, that being the sand, the red sand, the gravel, and all of the different types of powdered concrete, including the one we forgot last time. And it also works with your dragon eggs as well as your anvils, and again you do want to use your fresh anvils if you have, just to get the most use out of them. And you can continue to drop your items in and then jump through and go in a circle until you have all the items you need, and you can go back to your main base in order to use those items for whatever you want and not destroy the world around you mining up all the sand, instead duplicating it a little bit with a very simple machine that, as I said, still gives you some impressive rates. It does require an auto clicker, but you can duplicate about 6.4 blocks per second. So that is respectably fast. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. Found it interesting, maybe even tell one of your friends. And for more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. Let me also note that YouTube has given me a join button, which is the equivalent of Patreon. So if you're interested in supporting me in that way, there is a button right next to the subscribe button, which does show you the various perks that are offered. Thanks for stopping by.